Welcome back to VOP this morning. Now we have this really sad story. Modukbe Atonda, the missing student of the Federal University of Oye Ekiti, popularly known as Fuoye, has been found dead. Miss Atonda, a student in the Department of Nursing, was declared missing after she went out to study at night on September 4. However, Mufatau Ibrahim, the university's registrar, on Thursday confirmed that the student's corpse had been discovered. There were also reports claiming Atonda's body was found with her eyes missing. Investigations are still ongoing in collaboration with national security agencies to get to the root of this sad development and bring to book the culprits. Still with us this morning is Olayinka Ola Daniels, as well as Nelson Ekujumi. Are you still with us, please? Barrister.
I'm still here.
Okay,
Yes.
Barrister Ola Daniels. So, what do you make of this? Because this is indeed a terrible case. Because a student sent to school to study, I mean, this is devastating. What do you make of this?
Well, well, it is a very sad story, very sad news to us, and we do not think this should happen anyway at the school. However, I think the security agency should do a very thorough job. What happened? So we need to know because it's not just for the school to come out to say, yes, she was missing. Now we find her dead body. A student that went to read, so meaning that the school is not safe for students because it's not as if she went out of the school. She went to read. So meaning that the school is not safe. So the school needs to tell us what security outfit they have for their students and for the entire school. And that happened also, they need to tell us more because the investigation may, well, I'm not a security agent and for investigation, I may not be very good at it. But I want to believe that the security agency should know the right thing to do and they should do a good job by
All right,
making sure that how this happened, they need to tell us how it happened
barrister,
and they need
barrister.
to
Let
tell us
me
about the
let
perpetrators.
me let me interrupt you for a bit there, so we throw a lot more light on this. Now, the report that came out on social media said, some body parts were missing, but we've since confirmed that that's not accurate. That her body parts were not missing, as it was reported that her eyes were gouged out. So the story is no, that did not happen. Her eyes were not gouged out. But the story is, this student went out to read, um, and then her body was found 30 meters from the nursing dorm where she went to read, buried in a shallow grave when it was dug up from that shallow grave. Now, the school has said that students should go home and to resume at a later date. Some people are saying, look, asking the students to go home is not the answer. Police have arrested 10 people in connection to this. It's been purported to be some cult related issue. Should the students go home for investigations to be carried out? Or shouldn't investigations be carried out with people still around where questions can be asked?
You can't even tell the student to go home. One, sending student home as is not going to yield any result. I mean, it's not going to help anything at all. Then what it can only do is to distort investigation. Is not to help because that will not help the police from doing their job. There may be a number of people they need to questions. But when you send them home, they run away. How do you get such people? So I think that is a bad, approach It's a very bad approach to this whole thing. Going home is not the thing. In fact, is a totally wrong decision made by or whoever that made that decision. Because one is not going to help the investigation here. And we need that. So we need everybody to be in school so that the police can do their job. The security agency can do their job and question wherever they need to question and go to the appropriate quarters. But when the school is empty, how will they carry out their investigation? Who will they ask questions?
Who will they ask
so
questions?
I think that is the wrong decision entirely.
Okay.
And maybe the school should reconsider that and just leave the students back in school and tighten up their security and let the security agency do their work.
Now, I don't know if you have visited the university. Well, I have not, but I've seen pictures around. It's said to be surrounded by forest, and the students are now asking for CCTV cameras placed around. And you know how it is in this part of the world. We don't really pay attention to CCTV. Don't you think we should start paying more attention to putting cameras in places, in classrooms, in corridors, outside? Don't you think this will help in addressing issues like this, Barrister?
Well, it is we.
And what other measures, really, aside from
we
the
had
CCTV? What other?
I think we had an issue somewhere in my own street, and when we went to the police, the first thing they said, "Look, you people need to put up CTC so that you will help us in our investigation if something like this repeats itself." And that is just one street. There's no reason why a school, an institution, I mean, an institution of the learning, people are supposed to be learning, they're supposed to be better, it's supposed to be modern. There's no reason why they should not have CCTV cameras in the entire school. It is, I really don't know. These are the challenges we have with our leaders, with institutions. Because I don't understand why a whole school will not have CCTV in strategic places in the school. Because if they had this, perhaps this would have helped and would have even helped the investigation. But none. So I think it is appropriate for the school to spring into action and make sure that CCTV is put everywhere.
Barrister, don't you think
on campus?
Barrister? Sorry to interrupt you. Don't you think this is an issue of nonchalance? Because we should have cameras on streets and we don't. We should have them everywhere and we don't. So it's not just about the school now. It seems to be about a culture of, oh, well, we really don't care.
Must something negative happen before we look in that direction?
Draws attention to it. Barrister?
You're correct. It's sad. We don't have to wait till something bad happens before we look into that direction. Don't forget that we are a developing world, in quotes. So we are a lot of things. We do not see them as being necessary or important. Maybe because we are still in the developing world. Because if we do, CCTV at this time and age, in 2023, we should not be talking about, places not having such technology. We should not talk about that. But, I don't know whether I will call it nonchalant attitude or whether I will call it still a developing nation that is still affecting all of us in, different areas. And we are not yet there. And I don't know the people that are in charge of these ministries or the people that are in charge of some of these things in some of these institutions need to sit up. And what we see now today, somebody's house, you have the CCTV camera in your own house. So why, If I have a camera in my house, why will an institution not have those things? I mean, so I think one, maybe the aspect of maybe the issue may also be that we are primitive, in our society, and that we still need to probably be better off. We still need to be better off. Maybe that will help us. Maybe the primitive part of us as a people is affecting this idea of not putting CCTVs in some of these strategic places. Well, we just hope that we'll be better for it. It's a developing country. Well, it can be
All right.
All
better.
right.
And
Sorry.
we hope that necessary actions will be taken and all the authorities will do the needful.
All right.
And
Talking
this
about
incident,
actions.
we will not wait till when we have an issue before we talk about putting
Talking
up such technologies
now.
in our
Talking about actions
in our
being
institutions.
taken. Talking about actions being taken. Let's quickly take an amateur video that was taken when a member of the SUG was addressing students, and let's take that one, and then we can as well see a letter that was rewritten. Let's take that, and then we'll talk about um, what should be done to prevent a reoccurrence.
And I want to assure you that, number one, Mercy's part was not mutilated. Her body is intact. Number two, we are going to get justice that we deserve. We don't care how many doors we have to open, how many offices we have to go into to get that job. We are going to get it. We are going to what? Get it. And I want to assure you that, number one, Mercy's part was not mutilated. Her body is intact. Number two, we are going to
The
get
video there
justice
where the student
that we deserve.
was addressing some other students, saying her body was not mutilated as initially purported, and that they will open all doors regardless of the number of doors that they have to open because they want justice. There was also a letter um, saying basically the same thing. All right, so that's the letter there. Well, it says in important information to all students. Dear colleagues, it is with a saddened and heavy heart that we mourn the gruesome demise of one of ours, late Atonda Modukbe Deborah, who before her death was a year two student of the Department of Nursing. The cause of death and manner in which she died is a thing of great pain to the entire student populace in Fuoye. As we say goodbyes to a precious and bright student such as Mutukbe, members of the Fuoye Students Union government, Fuoye SUG, visited the morgue, and we were able to confirm to everyone that no part of her body was mutilated, contrary to claims and rumors flying around. We can confirm that not less than 12 people have been arrested in connection with the crime, and we would not rest until the perpetrators are brought to justice. While we mourn her sudden loss and pay our last respects to the dead, we hereby charge every security operative in Ekiti State to investigate and bring the perpetrators of this grave crime to book. A team comprising of the student union executives would pay a condolence visit to her parents and loved ones to show support for the family at this trying time. We pray God, in His infinite mercies, grant the departed soul eternal rest and give us the fortitude to bear the loss. And it ends with, we demand justice. That's what the student union is saying. We demand justice. Barrister Olayinka, now you do
Yes.
remember sometime last month, August, I think it's August 4th, I don't know the date exactly, there was also the issue of a nursing student in Lead City University who was found dead just after she was inducted and went to party. She went to celebrate the induction overnight, and then next morning or some days after, she went missing, and then she was found dead with her own body mutilated, tummy torn open, the womb taken. That, looked a lot more like a ritual
Body
killing.
parts harvested.
When will these things end? These are children. These are women. These are people's daughters. When will these things end? What can the government do? Let's put it on the government now. What can the government do? Who are other bodies that can address this and ensure that it is nipped in the bud? Barrister.
Yeah, I think, you see, one thing about security cannot just be left with government or the security agencies. Security involves everybody. Everybody must be involved in security. That's the truth. All hands must be on deck when it comes to security. The students, the neighbors, people around, everybody must be involved when it comes to security. So we cannot just say, oh, government, oh, security agency, everybody must be involved. Because if now this is the second one we are hearing, and we can't afford, because this is the one we know, this is the one we hear. What about the ones we do not know about? So we can't afford it. We can't just allow things like this to continue to happen. These are future of our nations, and their life is being cut short. I think everybody should be involved. Measures should be put in place to avoid such recurrence in any way. And what are these measures? Because like I said, everybody still has to be involved in these measures we are talking about. Because that particular lady must have friends. Okay? Is it that she went to read alone? She did not carry her friends along. You see, these are the things we need to consider. I'm going somewhere. I should have someone that I'm talking to. Okay, I'm going to read somewhere. I should have friends that are, even if I'm not going with them, they should know where I'm going to. They should know my movement. So that is the reason why I'm saying that everybody has to be involved in this way in security. Because you don't just go and people don't know your whereabouts and something happened and people don't even know. They get to see you after death. So it is important. And also the school also, we do not know the measure of security the school has put in place. All this thing needs to be checked. And we need, like you said, there are bushes around. Then it's important for school to probably put more measures, to make sure that those areas are secure. Because this is a school. They should know.
All right, barrister. Isn't it funny to know that in a university setting, we still have thick bushes, almost like forests, still within the premises, where students get to learn? Isn't that something the government should look into? And secondly, shouldn't there be more like libraries or something within the hostels? Because we see these things happen every time, especially to the female gender. The female gender always falls prey to this sort of things. Now, shouldn't ladies or, girls in the universities be prevented from coming outside at night in the name of studying? Can't there be like facilities within the hostel that, that would ensure that they don't get to leave the premises, the library, so that they don't get to leave the premises in the name of studying? They can stay within the confines of their hostels and still study effectively. What do you have to say about that, sir?
Understand where we did not know whether she was outside the school. We all went to school. Probably we go to the library during the day, and we still want to read more, and we go to classes at night to read. So, and some have a particular place, some amphitheaters, some different places where people read. What we should hammer on is providing securities. Students can choose to, some of them, they don't like where there are crowds. Okay, for instance, the time she's reading, maybe the library is down at that time. And some don't even like where there are crowds. They just want, that quietness to be somewhere to focus, so that they can assimilate better. So you can't stop them from going, outside the library to read in other places. But I doubt if that will be outside the school. And about the bushes in schools, you see, we need trees. We need those things in schools to emit. I mean, because we need the carbon and all. We need those. What is it called now? Because you don't.
But isn't this encouraging criminality? Isn't this encouraging? Can you hear me? Yes, I said, isn't this encouraging criminality? Even among students, cultism and all of that, because they have a place to hang out. They have, some kind of.
That's the reason why the security of the school had to be tight. We all have bushes in our schools. The security people, they comb those bushes. They come in there, they check at different times. So you can't take out, trees and bushes from school. Because this is an environment where you need, such you need such atmosphere. You need where you have trees. You need where you have there's a name for it. The botanic, whatever. You need them around. So you cannot really say, oh, you need them to cut the trees or take the bushes out because it is a school. We all have them, but what is important is making sure that there's appropriate for those places.
All right then.
Because the student like you mentioned, the cults, the cultists, they go into those bushes and the security will find them there. And because they know that the security agency will come looking for them, they stop going to the bushes to have their meetings. So this can be done. It's about security. It's not about cutting the bushes, and it's not about telling students not to read in the room or read in the library or not to read in some places. If securities, measures are put in place, better.
All right then. So let me ask you this final question, and I'd like for you to wrap your thoughts into it. The question is, what has become of our young people? All right. It was Buluwati Fair last month. We've had others. We've seen videos on social media. Women used for rituals. What is happening really? How did we get here? We have young people getting involved in gruesome acts like this. Where did we get it wrong? What can we do differently? How can we change this narrative?
Well, that is a serious question you asked that, because the truth is, before now, this has happened, and what we can do is to see how we can minimize this or to stop it, because, for instance, we do not. I'm not saying for sure that I know there are cultists or some, but student will be student, and they will move from one place to the other. So student will be student, and they will move from one place or to the other. So please, it is important we understand that sometimes it is really not about them. It's not their fault. But like I would say, it has been happening before now. We just want
how can we stop it?
the authorities, the government, the school, the security agency to know that the life of our youth is important.
All right,
And we cannot just risk their life and waste it just because we are not up to the task of protecting them and saving them from all these menace and havoc.
All right.
But
then.
for young people, they will always be young people.
All right, but we don't want young people killing each other, of course. No, we don't want that. Well, thank you very much, Barrister Olayinka Oladaniels. We appreciate you for your time.
Having me. Yeah.
So from this, we move on to business. We do have some business stories now. Well, the federal government has ordered distribution companies to deploy customer engagement platforms within the next 3 months, beginning from September 1, 2023. The directive meant the discos must install the facilities before January 2024. It gave the order through the Nigerian Electricity Regulatory Commission and explained that the directive became vital due to the failure of discos in resolving the complaints of power users. Now, the directive was contained in a document from NERC in Abuja on Thursday titled Order on Deployment of Customer Engagement Platforms. Providing a background on the order, the Commission stated that it had conducted town hall meetings, public consultations, and reviewed reports of complaints from electricity distribution licensees or DISCOs. It stated that the meetings and consultations revealed that customers are dissatisfied with the rate of resolution of complaints filed with DISCOs. To address this, the NERC disclosed that it resolved to deploy a call center to improve the rate of resolution of complaints filed with DISCOs by providing near real-time visibility of customer complaints filed with DISCOs. Now on to another business story. Taxes paid by manufacturers in 2023 have increased by 115% from 132 billion naira in the first quarter to 414.5 billion naira in the second quarter. Data collated from various company income tax and value-added tax reports published by the National Bureau of Statistics revealed. According to findings by reporters, in the first quarter of 2023, manufacturers paid 62.9 billion naira as CIT, while of 129.2 billion naira was paid as value-added tax. In the second quarter, the VAT paid by manufacturers increased by 17% to 151.7 billion naira, while CIT increased to 262.7 billion naira. Now, this meant that manufacturers paid at least 607 billion naira in CIT and VAT in the first 6 months of this year. The data also showed that across the VAT and CIT remittances in 2023, the manufacturing sector was the most taxed sector in the first and second quarters of the year. It was closely followed by the financial services sector and information communication technology. In its recently released Manufacturers CEO's Confidence Index, the Manufacturers Association of Nigeria outlined 20 key macroeconomic issues militating against the performance of the manufacturing sector. Now, the issues include multiple taxes, charges, levies, ranked third, only behind energy cost and high cost of credits, inadequacy of loanable funds. Now, while speaking in an exclusive interview, the director of MAN, Segun Ajayi Kadiri, said manufacturers had continued to battle over taxation alongside other factors and had negatively affected the growth of the industry. All right, those are the business stories that we have for you. We'll take a break. When we come back, we'll get into entertainment and other parts of the show. All right, stay with us.